Salve, hic est canalis Historiae et Mythologiae. Hi, this is the History and Mythology channel, and we talk the history of the Roman Senate during and after the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Once the body of the most powerful men in the expanding Roman Republic, the Senate changed under the Empire. During the first centuries of imperial power, the old Republican Senate of Rome gradually lost its political power. Sounds a little bit like Star Wars, doesn't it? Emperors, their entourage of army commanders and secretaries, were the real government, that is, the real executive and legislature. The Senate remained a body of rich landowners, priests of the various Roman gods, and a pool of appointees to the civil administration. So this imperial Senate was not powerful, but still useful. It preserved Roman traditions, it legitimized the emperor's actual power, it served religion and provided able administration. In AD 330, Emperor Constantine the Great, who made many reforms, founded a new capital for the empire. He renamed the ancient Greek town of Byzantium to New Rome and resided there. Posterity would name this city Constantinople after him. Just don't tell that to the Turks. Constantine took many senators, their families and libraries to the new capital, making them the Senate of the Empire and not just of one city. This left old Rome with only a rump Senate, a shadow of its previous numbers, political and administrative know-how. From Constantine's time onwards, the religious importance of the two senates diminished as Christianity with its bishops and councils had a completely different organizational structure. In 330 to 476, the Senate of Rome was the governing body of the old capital, something like a local board of preservation of ancient monuments in Rome. It kept what it could of traditions, pagan religion included, literature, historical knowledge, philosophy, Latin rhetoric, and a certain way of life. Most remaining senators were still rich landowners and very well-educated people. Meanwhile, a new authority was on the vogue within Rome: the Pope. The Pope, or Papa, literally meaning daddy in late Latin, was the Christian bishop of Rome. Due to Rome being a huge city and the former capital of the empire with a large Christian population, with many churches and abbeys, the Pope became more and more influential among the Christian majority of the population of the late Roman world. Popes became the arbiters on dogmatic and organizational matters during large church councils. Popes received the former imperial title of Pontifex Maximus, the High Priest, which meant that popes became the imperial viceroys in all matters religious within the empire. The Pope of Rome was the first among the 5 most important Christian bishops within the empire, the so-called patriarchs. The 4 other patriarchs were as follows: the Bishop of Alexandria, that of Constantinople or New Rome, that of Antioch, and that of Jerusalem. So the Pope of Rome became even more important than the Senate of Rome during the last period of the Roman Empire in the West. In 476, the western half of the empire was abolished. The boy emperor Romulus Augustulus was humanely and mercifully deposed by barbarian king Odoacer and sent to a luxurious exile. A pretender named Julius Nepos still lingered in Dalmatia, modern Croatia, but was of no consequence. The only real Roman Empire remained in the east, in Constantinople, but the Senate and the Pope remained in Old Rome. As the new, barbaric, or rather Ostrogothic kingdom of Italy was a Christian polity, it never disturbed the bishops and abbots in the country. Many remaining senators turned to a spiritual career, and eventually the remaining senatorial body abandoned the last vestiges of classical Greco-Roman paganism. Some senators kept their noble pursuits as historians and philosophers. Some served the new kings of Italy, Odoacer and Theodoric the Great, as civil administrators, councillors, bishops, and abbots. The mild but considerable influence of the highly refined senators turned the barbarian regime into a quite civilized post-Roman form of rule. Actually, the Germanic noblemen and warriors governing Italy after 476 had nothing against the preservation of Christian decorum and Roman customs in everyday life. Many Ostrogoths took Roman names and modified their religious preferences, turning from the Arian or semi-Arian sect to the mainstream Nicene or Chalcedonian form of Christianity of the papacy. Senator Cassiodorus wrote the history of the fall of the empire in the west, while Senator Boethius worked on reconciliating Christianity with ancient Stoic philosophy and also worked as a counselor of King Theodoric. In 476-535, the Senate of Rome kept functioning as a body under the Ostrogothic Kingdom of Italy. It was not always looked upon in a friendly way. Eventually, King Theodoric would order Senator Boethius executed due to some suspicions of treachery. But as a whole, the Rump Senate kept a glimpse of the glory of the Republic and the Empire. Sometimes, a collective address by the Senate even managed to convince the barbarian warlords of Italy to follow a certain policy, like the preservation of a given classical monument or the appointment of a certain Senate member to a prominent position. In 535, the Eastern Roman Empire, or the Byzantine Empire, attacked the Ostrogoths and reconquered Italy, thus temporarily restoring a unified Roman Empire. Rome was once more under the rule of a legitimate emperor. A Roman commander was in charge. The papacy and the Senate of the old capital were once more in contact with true Roman authority. Emperor Justinian the Great and Belisarius, his commander in Italy, acted rather respectfully to the Senate. Some of the senators might have even been sympathetic to the never-realized project of declaring Belisarius an emperor of the West. As war between Romans and Ostrogoths kept going on, in 552 a part of the Roman senators were executed by the desperate barbarians. Soon after, Rome was once more restored to Roman power, and the few surviving senators were restored as an institution. However, some of them fled to Constantinople, thus bolstering the numbers of the Senate of the East. Only a small number of the once large body remained in Rome and tried to keep working. By 602-610, Byzantine Emperor Phocas ordered a triumphal column with a solemn Latin inscription and a gilded statue of himself being erected atop of it in Rome. The imperial viceroy for Italy, the Exarch Smaragdus, executed the project, and what remained of the Senate was present and offered its loyal greetings to the emperor. But not much time later, in 630, as the estate of the senators were practically dying out, their seat, the Curia Julia, was remade into a church. In 663, Emperor Constans II visited Rome and stayed there for 2 weeks, meeting Pope Vitalianus and ordering the imperial holdings in Italy. He was the last Roman emperor to visit Rome before the quite novel imperial coronation of Frankish King Charlemagne on Christmas Day 800. However, Constans II is not reported of having met any senators. So we can assume that somewhere between 610 and 663, the ancient Senate, founded together with the city of Rome itself, had ceased existing. From the 10th century onwards, when the city was under papal rule and Holy Roman Imperial or German sovereignty, the collective body of Roman noblemen started calling itself a Senate. In the 12th century, during the Crusades, the Commune, or local city council of Rome, declared itself a continuation of the ancient Senate of Rome. After a period of struggles with the papacy and a series of Western kings and emperors, this new municipal Senate of Rome was especially established, and its modern continuation kept running the everyday of the capital of Italy, once the Caput Mundi. This is History and Mythology. Please share, like and subscribe. Vale!